The sound of dripping water echoed in the darkness. A man slowly opened his eyes, his head heavy, his body weak. He lay on a cold metal floor, the air around him thick and stale. For a moment, he could not remember who he was, or where he was. Then memories came back in pieces: war, explosions, the sky on fire. And then, nothing. The man was human, a soldier, though his uniform was torn and covered with dust. He pushed himself up, his body aching as if he had slept for many days. He looked around, blinking in the dim light. The place was strange: walls of steel, heavy doors with locks, pipes running across the ceiling. It was not a hospital. Not a shelter, he remembered. It was a bunker, sealed and silent. He stood, unsteady on his feet, and walked to a door. He pushed it, but it did not move. He searched for a panel or button, but there was nothing. The door was locked from the outside. The truth was clear. He was trapped. Then he heard something, a faint sound, a soft movement. His soldier instincts sharpened. His hand went to his belt, but he had no weapon. The sound came again, this time closer. From the shadows at the corner, the man froze, his eyes fixed on the darkness. And then, a figure stepped into the weak light. It was not human. Her skin was pale blue, glowing faintly in the dim room. Her eyes were large, silver, and bright. Her hair thin and white like threads of light. She wore strange clothes, torn at the edges, like she had also fought a battle. For a moment, they only stared at each other. The human felt his heart race, anger, fear, and confusion mixing inside. He had seen her kind before. The enemy, the ones who brought war to Earth. The alien girl looked just as shocked. She took a step back, her thin hands trembling. In her language, she whispered something he could not understand. Her voice was soft, broken, like she had been crying. She looked weak, hungry, and tired. The human raised his voice, his tone hard. "Where am I? What did you do? Why am I here?" But she did not answer, only shook her head quickly, her eyes wide with fear. He realized she might not even speak his language. But then she pointed to the sealed door, then to herself, then to him. Her message was clear. They were both trapped. The man clenched his fists, his mind racing. If this was a prison, then who locked them inside? If she was the enemy, why was she locked here too? The mystery grew heavier, pressing on his chest. The bunker was silent. But something about the silence was wrong. It was the silence of a trap. The silence before something terrible happened. He searched the room. There were boxes stacked against the wall, metal crates marked with symbols. He opened one. Inside were packets of food, bottles of water, medical kits. He frowned. This was not a prison cell. This was survival storage. Someone wanted them to live, at least for a time. He turned back to the alien girl. She was watching him carefully, her eyes following his every move. When he held out a water bottle, she stepped back, uncertain. But her thirst was stronger than her fear. She took it slowly, drank, and then whispered a single word in broken English. "Thank you." The man felt a cold shiver run through him. So she could speak his language, at least a little. That made her more dangerous. Or maybe more human. He could not decide which. Hours passed, though time felt strange in the bunker with no windows. The two of them stayed apart, sitting in silence. Only the sound of air vents filling the room. The man could not sleep, his mind too alert. He kept glancing at the alien girl. Sometimes he saw her staring at the walls, as if she was reading something invisible. Sometimes she touched a small device hanging from her neck, hiding it quickly when she noticed his gaze. She was keeping secrets, that much was certain. Then, just as his eyes began to close from exhaustion, a noise shook the bunker. It was faint at first, like a distant rumble. Then louder, a vibration running through the steel floor. The human stood at once, his heart pounding. The alien girl gasped, clutching her strange device, her face pale with fear. Something outside the bunker was alive, moving, searching. The man felt the air grow colder, heavier. Whatever this place was, it was not safe. And whatever waited outside the walls was worse. He realized the cruel truth. He was not only trapped in the bunker with an alien girl, he was trapped in a game he did not understand. And the game had already begun. The rumble outside faded, but the fear stayed inside the bunker. The human soldier kept his back against the cold wall, his eyes never leaving the alien girl. He did not trust her, not even for a second. She was the enemy, the reason Earth was burning above. At least that was what he believed. But now she looked just as lost, just as trapped as he was. Hours passed in silence, only the low hum of the air filters breaking it. The soldier decided to search the bunker more carefully. He opened crates, checked panels, even tapped the steel walls for hidden doors. Everywhere he looked, the alien girl followed him with her eyes. It was like she was waiting for him to make the wrong move. At last, he found a small storage room at the back. Inside were tools, blankets, and more food supplies. He dragged some of it out, but when he turned, the alien girl was already there. She had taken a packet of food in her hands. Her eyes wide and hungry, the soldier stepped forward, pulling it away. "This is mine," he said harshly. The alien girl flinched, shaking her head. Then she touched her chest, pointed at her stomach, and whispered, "Hungry." The soldier hesitated, his stomach twisted in anger and pity. He threw one packet toward her, not gently, more like a warning. She caught it with shaking hands and began to eat quickly, like she had not eaten for days. He sat opposite her, opening his own packet, chewing slowly. For a while, they ate in silence, strangers sharing the same cage. When they finished, the soldier tried again to speak. He pointed to the door, then to her, and demanded, "How do we get out? Do you know?" She shook her head quickly, fear in her silver eyes. "No. Not no," she said in broken English. Her voice trembled, but there was truth in her tone. The soldier studied her carefully. She was not a warrior, not a soldier like him. Her clothes were not military. Her hands had no scars of training. She looked more like someone who had been thrown into this prison without choice. But still, she carried that small device around her neck, hiding it under her torn clothes. Whatever it was, it meant something. The bunker grew colder as the night cycle began. The lights dimmed, leaving the two of them in pale blue glow. The soldier lay down on one of the metal bunks, but he did not close his eyes. He listened to her breathing, soft and unsteady. He wondered if she was waiting for him to sleep so she could kill him. He kept his hand close to a heavy wrench he had taken from the tool room, his only weapon now. Then came another sound, a low groan of metal, as if something was pressing against the walls from outside. Both of them froze. The alien girl whispered in her own language, clutching her necklace device tightly. The soldier gripped the wrench, ready to strike, but the sound passed, fading again into silence. Only then did they breathe out. Though the fear still clung to them, the soldier sat up, his eyes burning from lack of rest. "This place is wrong," he muttered, half to himself, half to her. The alien girl tilted her head, not understanding all his words, but she nodded. Slowly, as if she felt the same. For the first time, their fear was shared. For the first time, they were not just enemies, they were fellow prisoners. The next day cycle began with hunger again. Food was plenty in the storage, but the soldier noticed something disturbing. Every packet had a date printed, and some were old, years old. This bunker had been stocked long ago, maybe for another war, maybe for another experiment. The thought sent chills down his spine. How many others had been locked in here before them? The alien girl walked closer, braver than before. She pointed to the strange symbols scratched on the wall, hidden behind a pipe. Her fingers traced them with care, her lips moving as she read. The soldier watched, confused, until she turned to him, her voice shaky but clear enough. "Warning, danger. Do not trust." The words cut through him like a blade. He frowned. "Danger from who?" he asked. She only shook her head again, biting her lip. Maybe she did not know. Maybe she was too afraid to tell. But the warning was there, carved long. Before they came, the uneasy silence between them began to change. They no longer sat apart, no longer ignored each other. Instead, they worked together in small ways. He opened crates while she searched the walls. He fixed the broken water filter while she found blankets to keep them warm. Neither of them spoke much, but their actions began to connect. Survival forced them into a fragile alliance. Still, trust was far away. Every time the soldier caught her touching the device at her neck, suspicion burned in his mind, and every time she saw his hand clutching the wrench, fear flashed in her silver eyes. They were all eyes only because the bunker gave them no choice. Enemies locked in the same cage as the second night cycle came. The soldier sat awake again. The alien girl slept lightly, her body curled up against the cold. He stared at the ceiling, his thoughts heavy. He knew this was only the beginning. The noises outside, the warnings on the walls, the device she carried, everything pointed to something bigger, something darker. This bunker was not built to save them. It was built to test them, and the real test had not yet begun. The bunker air grew heavier with each passing cycle. The soldier counted hours in silence, but he was never sure of the true time. The lights dimmed and brightened, marking day and night, but it felt unnatural, controlled. The human soldier had lived in war zones before, but this bunker felt worse than any battlefield. Here, he was trapped with no sky, no sound of wind, no choice but to breathe the stale air. The alien girl had grown less afraid of him. She no longer sat in the far corner, but she was still guarded. Her large silver eyes followed him, not with hate, but with something else. Something he could not name. She ate little, drank only when needed, and often touched the strange device on her neck. It glowed faintly sometimes, pulsing like a heartbeat. Every time he asked about it, she turned away. Her lips pressed tight. The soldier's suspicion grew. He wanted answers, but forcing her could mean danger. So instead he watched, when she thought he was asleep. She whispered to the device in her own language, soft words, like prayers or secret messages. Sometimes her face filled with hope, sometimes with sorrow. It was clear, the device was not just technology, it was personal. One cycle after another. Long silence. The soldier finally snapped. He stood, crossed the room, and pointed at the glowing object. "What is that? Why do you hide it?" he demanded. The alien girl froze, clutching it tightly in her small hands. Her eyes widened, fear mixing with guilt for a moment. He thought she would refuse again, but then her shoulders dropped, and she whispered in broken English, "Not weapon. Memory." The soldier frowned, not understanding. She tapped the device gently, and suddenly a soft light filled the bunker. A small hologram flickered in the air. It showed a tall figure, also alien, with features like hers but older, stronger. The voice that came was strange but carried authority. Though the words were not clear to him, the emotion in her eyes was, her father, the soldier realized. The girl whispered, "Father." Scientist, not soldier. Her English was broken, but her meaning was sharp. She explained slowly, painfully, that her father was part of a secret project, not for war, but for survival. Her people had feared the coming destruction of both species. The project was to test if humans and aliens could live together, side by side. The bunker was one of many experiments. She had been sent here by force, not choice. Her father's last message was saved in the device, a memory she carried to survive. The soldier felt his chest tighten. If what she said was true, then the war above had not been just black and white. Maybe not every alien was an enemy, maybe. Some wanted peace, but doubt gnawed at him. Was this story the truth? Or a trick to gain his trust? The hologram faded, leaving the room cold again. The girl hugged the device to her chest, her silver eyes wet with tears. The soldier turned away, sitting back on the bunk. His mind was a storm. He wanted to believe her, but war had taught him not to trust so easily. He remembered fallen friends, burned cities, cries of dying humans, all caused by her kind, and yet, here she was, small, fragile, and grieving just like any human child. That night, the noises outside returned. Louder, closer. The walls shook slightly, dust falling from the ceiling. The soldier grabbed his wrench, ready for danger. The alien girl pressed her device tightly, whispering in her language again. The sound lasted for minutes, then stopped. The silence after was worse than the noise itself. They exchanged a long look, both knowing the danger outside was real, not just imagination. When calm returned, the soldier finally spoke again. His voice rough. "Why us? Why lock human and alien together here?" The girl looked at him, her voice low but clear enough. "Father say, test. Survive together or die alone." Her words hung in the cold air, heavy like iron. The soldier clenched his fists. If that was the truth, then they were not just prisoners. They were subjects in someone's cruel experiment. The days inside. The bunker grew darker after that, though they shared food and water. The soldier's mind was restless. He questioned everything. The symbols on the wall, the old supplies, the noises outside and always. The glowing device that held her father's secrets. Every piece of it whispered one truth. This bunker was not just a shelter. It was a trap built with purpose. The alien girl grew weaker as time passed, her body thinner, her face pale. The soldier noticed, though he did not speak it. She gave most of her food to him when she thought he was not looking. He pushed it back toward her each time, growling, "Eat," and though she feared him, she obeyed. This strange exchange became their routine. An enemy girl and a human soldier keeping each other alive. But the soldier knew the uneasy peace would not last. Secrets always found a way to break free, and whatever this bunker was hiding. They were getting closer to it, every noise in the walls, every flicker of her device, every warning symbol. All of it was leading to something. And when the truth finally came, it would change everything. The soldier lay awake again. Staring at the steel ceiling, he realized something dangerous. He was no longer just guarding himself against her. He was guarding her as well. Without meaning to, without wanting to, he had started to care. And that was the most dangerous secret of all. The bunker was beginning to feel alive, not alive with people, but alive with secrets hidden in the walls. The human soldier could sense it. Every step he took echoed strangely. As if the bunker itself was listening. The alien girl felt it too. Her silver eyes moved nervously whenever the metal groaned. It was more than fear. It was like the place itself wanted to test them. Their food was still enough for now, but the air filters had begun to weaken. Each breath felt heavier. A faint dust drifting through the vents. The soldier pulled one filter out and found it clogged with strange dark fibers. Not dust, not ash, but something organic. When he touched it, the fiber twitched, as if alive. He quickly dropped it, his heart racing. The alien girl whispered a word in her own language, her voice trembling. She pointed at the fibers and shook her head violently. Whatever they were, she recognized them, and she was afraid. The soldier sealed the vent back, but unease filled his chest. Something outside the bunker was trying to crawl its way inside. And if the filters failed completely, they would be trapped with no air to breathe. That cycle. While searching for tools to repair the filter, he noticed something strange carved into the steel wall behind a shelf. At first, it looked like scratches, but when the alien girl came closer, her eyes widened. She traced the marks carefully. Reading the symbols, her voice shook as she translated, "Not safe. Walls have eyes. Escape impossible." The soldier felt a chill down his spine. So others had been here before, carving warnings before they vanished. He pressed his palm against the steel wall, feeling the cold vibration underneath. It was faint, but it was there. Something humming, something moving deep inside the metal. More symbols were found in the days that followed, hidden under crates, along the corners. Scratched into the bunks, the alien girl read them slowly, sometimes stopping as her hands trembled. Each message was worse than the last. Do not listen to the voices. Do not drink the water. Trust nothing. The soldier grew restless. Who had written these words? Other humans, other aliens, or something else entirely? He tried to imagine them, trapped like he was. carving warnings with shaking hands until they disappeared. The thought gnawed at him. Were he and the alien girl next in line that night cycle? The noises outside came again, louder than ever. The steel walls groaned as if something huge scraped against them. The girl pressed her hands over her ears, her whole body trembling. The soldier gripped his wrench, ready for an attack, but nothing came through. Instead, the sound sank into silence, leaving them both shaken. When he finally relaxed, he noticed her staring at one wall, her silver eyes wide. "What is it?" he demanded. Her voice cracked. "Something." Listening, the soldier pressed his ear against the wall, and for the first time, he heard it too, not just metal, but a faint whisper, like words carried through the steel. The language was strange, alien, impossible to understand, but it was a voice. Someone or something was on the other side, speaking to them. He pulled away quickly, his heart racing. He shouted into the silence, his voice echoing across the chamber. "Who is there?" But no answer came, only the echo of his own voice. The alien girl shook her head furiously, motioning for him to stop. Her silver eyes glistened with terror. "Do not answer." "Voices trap," she whispered. Her warning stirred the memory of one of the scratched messages. "Do not listen to the voices." The soldier clenched his jaw, his fists trembling. The bunker was not just a cage. It was something far worse. It was a watcher, a manipulator, a hunter in disguise. The days turned into uneasy survival. They rationed food. They fixed the filters with what tools they had. They searched every corner for hidden doors, but found none. Each discovery of a carved warning deepened their fear. One message stopped the soldier cold. It said, "Only one leaves alive." He read it twice, his stomach twisting. The alien girl's face went pale when she translated the same words. Her hands shook as she pulled away from the wall, her eyes refusing to meet his. The silence between them was heavier than the steel around them. If the bunker was designed to test them, then the final test might be against each other. That night cycle, the soldier lay awake, staring at her across the room, her small figure curled up, clutching her device like a child clutches a toy. He thought of the warning, "Only one leaves alive." Would the bunker force him to fight her, to kill her? He gripped his wrench tightly, but the thought made him sick. She was not his enemy anymore, not in this prison. But if survival demanded it, could he do it? The alien girl woke suddenly, her eyes flashing open. She whispered his name, the first time she had spoken it. Clumsy in her broken English, her voice was soft, weak, but it pulled him from his dark thoughts. In that moment, he realized something. The test was not only about survival of the body. It was survival of the soul, survival of trust, survival of something deeper. Still, the warnings on the walls haunted him. Still, the whispers through the steel filled his dreams. Still, the bunker pressed down on him with its cold breath. The soldier knew one thing with certainty. This was no ordinary shelter, no ordinary trap. This was a place built to break them, piece by piece, until nothing was left, and the real danger had only just begun. The bunker had grown quieter in the last cycle, but the silence did not feel safe. It felt like the calm before a storm. The soldier stayed alert, his wrench always within reach, while the alien girl sat close to the glowing device she carried. They shared food, they shared fear, but trust was still fragile. Both of them knew something worse was coming that night. Cycle, the first sign appeared, a faint scratching noise. Different from the groans of the metal, it came from the vents, sharp, slow, like claws dragging across steel. The soldier stood at once, his muscles tense. The alien girl's silver eyes widened, and she shook her head violently, whispering in her broken English, "Not good. Not safe." The scratching grew louder, spreading through the vents, moving above their heads, then sliding down the wall. The soldier grabbed his wrench and positioned himself between the girl and the vent. He held his breath, every nerve ready to strike. The metal cover rattled, once, twice, then burst open. Something crawled out. It was not human, not alien, not machine, but a mix of all. Its body was twisted, flesh stitched with metal, wires pulsing like veins. Its face was a mask of broken parts, one glowing red eye and one black hollow socket. It hissed, the sound mechanical and alive at the same time. The alien girl gasped, pressing herself against the wall. The soldier stepped forward, wrench raised, his heart pounding. The creature lunged, fast and unnatural, its claws tearing at the floor. The soldier swung his wrench, the metal smashing against the creature's head. It screamed, sparks flying from its broken parts. But it did not stop. It grabbed his arm with its steel claws, crushing down with terrifying strength. The soldier roared, forcing himself free, slamming the wrench again and again. Each strike echoed through the bunker like thunder. The alien girl cried out, holding her device high. A pulse of light burst from it, blue and sharp. The creature froze for a moment, its red eye flickering. The soldier saw his chance and swung with all his strength. The wrench cracked into the creature's skull, splitting metal and flesh. The monster shuddered violently, then collapsed to the floor, twitching until it went still, for a long moment. There was only silence. The soldier breathed hard, sweat dripping down his face. The alien girl sank to the ground, trembling, her hands clutching her glowing device. The creature lay broken. But the sight of it burned into both their minds. It was not an accident. It was not random. This thing had been made, built, tested, and sent into the bunker. The soldier knelt beside the creature, studying it with narrowed eyes. He saw pieces of human bone beneath the wires, a rib cage, a jawbone fused into the metal. His stomach twisted, rage burning in his chest. This was not only a machine, it was built from humans. Maybe even soldiers like him, the alien girl whispered softly, her voice full of pain. Experiment. My people. Not all, but some. The soldier's fist clenched, her words cut deep. If her people created monsters like this, then the war was not only destruction above ground, it was horror hidden below. But she looked at him with tears in her silver eyes. No choice. Father, try stop. Father, die for truth. Her broken words trembled with honesty, and for the first time, the soldier felt her fear was not only for herself, but for him too. He pushed away from the body, his anger hot but his mind sharp. One thing was clear now. The bunker was not only a test of survival, it was a laboratory. They were not only prisoners, they were subjects. And the monsters were proof that someone was watching, experimenting, waiting. The soldier and the alien girl worked together to drag the broken creature into a corner, covering it with blankets. Neither of them wanted to look at it again, but both knew it was only the first. The bunker was too quiet now, as if holding its breath. If one had come, more would follow that night. The soldier could not sleep. He sat awake, his eyes fixed on the shadows. The alien girl sat beside him, clutching her device tightly. Her voice was soft when she spoke. They send more. Always more. Until we break. The soldier turned to her, his voice hard. Then we don't break. The girl's lips trembled, but she nodded slowly. Something new flickered in her eyes, not only fear, but a spark of trust. The battle against the creature had forced them together in a way silence never could. Enemies no longer, survivors now. But even as they shared that fragile bond, the soldier's mind was heavy. The carvings on the wall, the warnings of others, the voice in the steel, and now the monster built from human and alien parts. All of it pointed to a single truth. This bunker was not a place to live. It was a place designed to kill. He tightened his grip on the wrench. The test was changing, the stakes rising, and he knew with grim certainty, the first threat was only the beginning. The broken body of the creature still lay hidden under the blanket, but even covered, its presence haunted the bunker. The soldier and the alien girl avoided that corner, though both of them knew it was a reminder. The bunker was not safe. It was never meant to be safe. It was designed to test, to hurt, to watch. The soldier studied the girl more carefully now. Her fear of the creature had been real. Her scream had been raw. She was not one of the ones who built such monsters. She was another victim, but she carried something. Something that linked her to the truth. The small glowing device around her neck pulsed faintly, like it was alive. It had saved them during the fight, stunning the creature for a brief moment. Now the soldier demanded answers. He pointed at the device, his voice sharp. "No more secrets. Show me." The girl hesitated, clutching it close to her chest, her silver eyes shining with doubt. But then she nodded slowly, her trembling hands lifting it up. She pressed the center, and the bunker filled with light. A hologram burst into the air, clearer than before. It showed a vast chamber filled with machines, tubes and cages. Inside the cages were humans, aliens, and hybrids, screaming and clawing to escape. The soldier's stomach twisted as he recognized his own kind, soldiers and civilians alike. Some of them were alive, some broken, some turned into creatures like the one they had fought, the alien. Girl's voice cracked as she spoke. "Father, he part of this. But he tries stop. He record truth." The hologram shifted, showing the image of her father, the tall alien with cold eyes and tired features. His voice came in her language, but she translated in broken English as the soldier listened. "Project is test. Human and alien together. Test fear, test trust. Test survival." The soldier clenched his fists, rage boiling inside him. This was not survival. This was torture dressed as science. The hologram continued, showing diagrams of bunkers like they're scattered across ruined lands, each bunker holding a pair, one human, one alien, each forced to survive under impossible conditions. Some pairs killed each other, some starved, some became part of the experiments. Only a few lasted long enough to face the final phase. The girl's voice broke when she spoke again. "Father, he sent me here, not to test, but to prove wrong. To show peace." Her silver eyes filled with tears. The soldier stared at her, torn between anger and pity. If she was telling the truth, her father had used her, thrown her into the same nightmare to prove his theory. But she had not chosen this. She was just as trapped as him. The hologram flickered again, and then the bunker itself spoke. A deep, cold voice filled the chamber, mechanical and cruel. "Phase complete. Final test begins." The soldier froze, his wrench tight in his hand. The alien girl gasped, clutching his arm in fear. The lights above them dimmed, then glowed blood red, bathing the bunker in crimson shadows. The voice continued, calm and merciless. "Only one survivor may exit. Only one may prove worthy." The words echoed through the steel, sharp as knives. The soldier felt his chest tighten. The carvings on the wall had warned them. Only one leaves alive. Now the truth was confirmed. Girl backed away, shaking her head, whispering in her broken English, "No, no fight. Not kill." Her hands trembled, her device glowing brighter as if sensing danger. The soldier stepped forward, his jaw clenched. "I'm not killing you," he growled. But the voice above them replied coldly, "Choice is not yours, choice is survival." Suddenly, the doors that had always stayed sealed unlocked with a heavy groan. Metal ground against metal, and the bunker shook. For the first time, a way out appeared, but it was no rescue. It was a trap. A path into the final phase. The air grew colder, filled with the stench of rust and something foul. The soldier raised his wrench, his body tense. The girl held her device close, her lips moving in a silent prayer. The soldier looked at her, then at the open door. He knew what the voice wanted. It wanted blood, betrayal, the breaking of trust. But he also knew something else. They had survived together against hunger, fear, and the first monster. If they turned against each other now, they were already dead. He met her eyes and spoke with firm resolve. "We fight, but not each other." For the first time, the alien girl smiled faintly through her fear. It was small, fragile, but real. She nodded, wiping her tears. "Yes. Together." The voice above spoke again, mocking and cold. Together means failure. Only one will leave. Choose or die. The soldier tightened his grip on the wrench. His heart steady. He had faced war. He had faced death. But this test was different. This test was about more than survival of the body. It was survival of trust, of unity, of defiance. As they stepped toward the open door, the red light burned brighter. The shadows stretched long across the floor. The soldier knew what waited outside would be worse than anything inside. But he also knew one thing with certainty: the bunker wanted them to break, and he would rather die than give it what it wanted. The girl walked beside him, her glowing device pulsing like a heartbeat. Together they crossed the threshold, into the darkness of the final test. The red lights painted the corridor in blood. The soldier and the alien girl stepped through the open door. Leaving the chamber they had called prison, the air was colder here, filled with the smell of damp metal and decay. The floor shook beneath their feet, as if the bunker itself was alive and breathing. The voice returned, low and merciless. Final phase begins. Only one may leave. Survival demands sacrifice. The soldier clenched his jaw, gripping his wrench tighter. The girl's device pulsed faster, its light almost frantic. She whispered softly, "Trap." Last trap. The corridor stretched forward into shadow. Walls lined with pipes that dripped dark liquid. Symbols were scratched everywhere. Warnings written by hands long gone. Run while you can. Don't believe the voice. Together is stronger. The soldier touched one with his fingers, and for the first time, hope flickered in his chest. Maybe others before them had failed, but someone had believed as he did. They walked carefully, step by step, their ears filled with the sound of machinery moving deep inside the walls. Then came the first challenge. The floor ahead collapsed suddenly, revealing a pit of spinning blades. The girl gasped, nearly falling, but the soldier pulled her back. The voice mocked them. Survival means strength. Leave the weak behind. But the soldier ignored it. He searched quickly, spotting a broken pipe hanging above the pit. He climbed with one arm, swinging across, then reached back for the girl. Her hands shook, but she trusted him, gripping tight. Together they crossed, their hearts pounding. Further ahead, another horror waited. Creatures like the one they had fought before emerged from the walls, their twisted bodies dragging across the floor. Two of them, larger, stronger, their red eyes burning in the shadows. The soldier raised his wrench. But he knew the fight was impossible alone. The girl held her device, whispering in her language, and a wave of blue light shot out. It slowed the creatures for a brief moment, but they kept moving. The soldier shouted, "Now," and charged. He smashed his wrench into the first, sparks flying. The girl joined him, striking with metal pipes, her fear replaced with desperate courage. Together, blow by blow, they brought the monsters down. The soldier's arm bled. The girl's face was bruised, but they stood alive. The voice hissed in anger. "Defiance is failure. One must die. One must prove worthy." They staggered into the final chamber. A vast steel hall lit by a single white light. At the center stood a great machine, its surface covered in wires, its eye-like core glowing bright, the bunker's true heart. The voice came from it, louder now. "This is the end. The test is complete. Only one leaves. Choose or be destroyed." The soldier looked at the girl, her face pale but her eyes fierce. He saw her clutch the device, her father's last gift, her last hope. For a moment, silence filled the hall, the weight of choice pressing on both of them. But then he spoke, his voice steady. "No, we choose." Together, the machine roared, its eye blazing red. "You cannot break the law of survival," it thundered. The soldier raised his wrench. The girl raised her device. They charged the machine side by side. The machine unleashed walls of energy, trying to separate them, but the girl's device pulsed brighter, shielding them in a blue glow. The soldier swung his wrench with all his strength. Striking the machine's core, it cracked, sparks exploding across the chamber. The girl pressed her device into the crack. The blue light burning brighter. Together, human strength and alien technology fused. The machine screamed, its red eyes shattering into darkness. The hall shook violently. Alarms blaring. The voice broke apart, glitching, failing. Impossible. Unity is not survival. Error. Error. Then it was gone, silence falling like heavy dust. The door above them unlocked, a hatch opening to the world outside. For the first time, fresh air rushed in, cool and sharp. The soldier and the alien girl looked at each other, disbelief in their tired eyes. They had survived, but not by killing each other. They had survived by trust, by defiance, by refusing the rules of the test. They climbed the ladder slowly, their bodies weak but their spirits unbroken. When they reached the surface, they froze. The world outside was ruined. The sky gray with ash, the land broken and empty. But it was freedom, and it was theirs. The soldier breathed deeply. The alien girl closed her eyes to the wind. For the first time they were not prisoners. They were survivors. The girl turned to him, her silver eyes glowing in the gray light. She whispered in her broken English, "Together." "True survival." The soldier nodded, his jaw firm. "Together," he said behind them. The bunker collapsed into itself, sinking into the ground, its secrets buried, its voice silenced forever. But the test had already failed. The machine had wanted division, betrayal, death. Instead, it had found something it could not understand: hope. The soldier and the alien girl walked into the wasteland. Side by side, the future was unknown, dangerous, maybe even hopeless. But they had already proven something stronger than the ruins around them. That survival was not in killing, not in fear, but in trust, in unity, in refusing to break. Their journey was not over, it was only the beginning. But for now, they had won. And the world outside, broken as it was, belonged to them.